Hey everybody, welcome back. I am bored. COVID made me bored, and today at the table, I'm once again not playing a board game, but instead, this is my second video or my continuation video on miniature painting from someone who has no experience, no artistic eye, terrible color coordination, and unsteady hands and terrible eyesight. So if that sounds like you, then you've come to the right video because if you have all those symptoms and you have no space to paint, then and you're just like me, then hopefully this video or from this video you'll say, hey, you know what? I was hesitant at first, but after watching this video, you're willing to at least take one step forward. And ultimately, for me, miniature painting isn't about just the painting. It's about how of a therapeutic experience it is. It's calming. I'm focused. It's enjoyable, even when I make mistakes. It brings a little bit of life. No, actually, it brings a lot of life to the board game. Does it turn my silly, not the top 100 BGG games uh, better? No. It's still this. It's at the end of the day, it's still the same game. But it definitely brings some vibrancy to the tabletop, and it's sort of like that. Uh, the product of your fruits of labor, you know, something that you did, that you created, or not created, but you did, and you can look at it and say, wow, that just makes me so happy, right? So those are the key points that I'm taking away through this process of miniature painting. In my last video, I'll put a link down below, I talked about the indispensable tools that I started with, and I didn't go out and I didn't go crazy. I don't think I went minimal, but I didn't go overboard. I went with what I felt worked in the space around me, the confines of my working area and play area, I guess, as well as budget, and as well as the anticipated commitment that I want to do in this hobby. This might very well be a new hobby for me, in terms of not necessarily more videos about it, but certainly something that, oh, do I feel like playing a board game tonight? No, I don't feel like it. I think I'm just gonna finish off painting some of my miniatures, right? So it's a nice little bit of diversity. So when it comes to indispensable tools, obviously having the right paints makes the difference. And I don't mean right paints as in the quality of paints. For me, it's I see Army Painter, I see Citadel, and I see Vallejo. I'm neutral. I have no preference in terms of it. I know nothing about it. I just go with whatever I feel is cost effective for me. And I got, as I mentioned in my last video, I got the Fnatic Mega Paint Set, which had 50 paints, and it covered the variety and spectrum of colors that I feel that reflect the board games that I have. So you'll see it off in the background over there. So that's what I did. Definitely getting a primer, a larger primer. Now, in my last video, I did talk about priming techniques. For me, I have limited space. I don't have a dedicated paint area. I typically, when I paint, I'm unable to use an aerosol can, and I'm not about to invest in an airbrush setup system. So I use a paintbrush to paint the primer on, and it's worked fine for me. Yes, it takes a little bit longer, but remember, part of this process is therapeutic for me. It's kind of like a getaway, a mental getaway, in addition to board gaming. And the time that I'm taking to paint and prime my miniatures is an enjoyable experience. I never get frustrated, and it is actually quite calming. Throw on your favorite soundtrack, and you're off. You'll be fine. So that's one part for me that's, I guess, an indispensable tool. Having the right number or set of paintbrushes, something to prime your miniatures with, a few larger tip brushes to paint larger areas, and a few very fine tip paintbrushes for more of the intricate details. That's important. I did talk about a dry brush. I would leave that off the table. I don't care about it. And then this, indispensable for me. I have poor eyesight. And this headset, sort of a wearable magnification lens with a light, indispensable. This is the only way I could possibly do it. It's got a light, I can wear it over my head. There is a rechargeable version. This one takes 3 AAA batteries, which is fine. I don't really care. And because I'm not painting for hours on end, uh, during the time that I'm painting, it is relatively comfortable. It doesn't, the nose piece is padded, so it doesn't hurt me at all, but it is a little heavy at the front because of the battery. So again, this has been definitely indispensable. If anything here, I would recommend this. This is what I would recommend because I think it's just so great. Um, with some of the one of the things I mentioned in my last video that I didn't get into, but I want to talk about is the different techniques that I see a lot of. I feel that's more for advanced people. So this is coming from me, some guy who doesn't really know and as much, and I'm not very artistic. But there was something when it comes to priming. There was something called xanthanol highlighting, and it's where you, I guess, you're trying to prime your miniature in a way that it's as if the sun's above and it's casting light upon you, so you have sort of the shadows underneath you in those darker areas, and then on the top surfaces, which is exposed to the sunlight or whatever, it's a little bit lighter. So it's sort of a double priming process. I have no patience for that, and on top of that, I'm not spray painting. I think that only works if you spray paint or airbrush. I don't think that works as well if you paint your primer on like I do. So I completely skip that. For me, it doesn't add any value, and I don't think it would make my therapeutic experience any more therapeutic. So for me, it's a trade-off. I don't need to do that. There's also techniques for highlighting. I guess, certain areas like hair or along the arm, the lines of a character. And the best way when I look at that, I look at it as I see a lot of great painters out there, and if it's like, I'm mostly IP based, so say Marvel characters, miniatures, it's almost as if they ripped it right out of the comic. You've got that sort of highlighting along certain lines, grooves or whatever, and it really pops. And I think that is amazing. But one, I have no patience for that. Two, I don't really need to. At the end of the day, for me, having some color, getting away from the blue, red, pink resin and gray resin that you have is more than enough from my perspective. Then there's something called shading and blending. I tried that once. I'll show you where I tried that. Here, right here, with my buddy from Marvel United, Iron Man. So you'll see where his blasters come off, right? See his blaster? I tried it. I wanted it to be a little bit lighter and then darker at the bottom and not have this, I guess, separation of a line. So I tried to do this blending technique. It was okay. Do I really care? No, I don't think I would really care. I think I would just rather move on and just finish the job here. So blending and shading, I don't bother. So you're not going to hear me talk about that. You're not going to hear me talk about these, in my perspective, advanced techniques. This is more about my journey from having no sort of artistic background, color coordination eye to where I am now, and I'm really enjoying it. And they're not great, they're not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes, and and it's definitely not as polished. But through this process, one, it adds color to my miniatures, and two, it is an enjoyable painting experience. So one of the things I want to talk about first as well is the opportunity for me, because I didn't know any better. I would use I look on some images. So for example, I started with my Warhammer guys. I started with this guy. Actually, let me get my, you know what? I'll get my little trusty miniature holder for this purpose. So I started with my Warhammer guy. He was my very first, and I actually, you know what? Let me get the box. It makes the most sense if I get. Actually, I'll just get the manual here. Okay, so here, this is my point of reference. Okay, that's what he looks like. Mostly blue. A little bit of I guess, accents on his belt, his chest. I don't know if that's focusing. There we go. And that was I'm using that as sort of, and actually all four of these guys, because I started with them, was because of that. I wanted a point of reference because I don't know how to color coordinate. I really don't. But for him, I thought, you know what? I like. I'm not a fan of the all blue. I wanted a little bit more, I don't know, contrast, if you want to call it that. So I decided to kind of invert it a little. So I decided to make him primarily black with blue highlights. I still want him to be able to, you know, if I'm playing, to designate or recognize that he's blue. I don't know what his name is, brother or whatever. And so I decided to start there and just try. I did keep some things which I saw from his picture, like his chest plate, even though this chest plate is different from the one in the picture. But I didn't, certain areas I thought, oh, I'll just try something different. And I found this one, first of all, he's a little too dark. I think I wish I had repainted him a little lighter, but that's okay. But he's black, right? And it's mostly black. And mind you, when I primed him with gray. I didn't have the black primer at that time. So I did have to give him several coats of black and the darker colors to sort of overcome sort of the light grayness. So this is one of the reasons why I decided to get a black primer, is if I primed him black, then I would have an easier time painting the other areas. I think for me, the rule of thumb I find is if I know my miniature is mostly lighter colors, then I'll paint them gray. And if they're going to be mostly dark colors, then I'll paint them black. Prime them black. But one of the things I'm going to tell you right now, if I prime black, for me personally, I have a really difficult time distinguishing the details. It was a lot easier for me to distinguish details on a gray primed miniature, but black was incredibly hard. And I'll show you which one I did, which was black, two of them actually. And I found it incredibly difficult. So I started with him, and I did try dry brushing. You'll see the dry brush. Oh no, maybe you won't see it. But I tried dry brushing the terrain that he's on. Focus there, the terrain that he's on, just to give it a little bit of roughness, I guess, if you want to call it that. But in the end of the day, the results, you can see I didn't even paint. You can see I'm missing some paint there. There's a little bit of blue at the bottom under the whatever he's standing on. So I wanted to just try to experiment, and I think that's one of the great things about when you're miniature painting, is that you can feel free to experiment, color mix, whatever you want to do to find that right shade, and then try it out. And if you don't like it, you can always paint over it. For me, I feel like I think if you make a mistake and you want to change the color, if you did only one coat or one thin layer, then you can just paint over that layer. It's fine. These I don't know what the chemistry is of these paints, but they're heavily pigmented to the point where I could have a sort of if I had this blue, I could take yellow or white and paint over it, and it's pretty good, even in one coat. So it's not a problem to fix a color combination that you don't like. So if I painted his kneecaps or his knee guards in blue and I didn't like that, I want it to be gray, no problem. I can paint it with gray and fix it. Not an issue. I think the problem might be when you start to have too many coats and you change it up too many times, then it's going to get a little thick. But I have no direct experience with that, so I can't really attest to it. But I was happy with him when I started with him. It was great, and it right away I thought, okay, I think I can do this. And I'll throw up a photo of a transition. The transition was where this is another part that I want to talk about is the washing, but I'll talk more about it later. But just to tell you ahead of time, the one on the left is when he's not washed, and the one on the right is when he is washed. And sort of what I wanted to say was, for me as a person who was kind of nitpicky, is like, oh, his eye is not that great. Oh no, I didn't do a good job there. Should I redo it? Do I want to go back? When I applied the wash, it fixed the problem for me. So I think that for me, one of the indispensable techniques that you can use is washing, doing the wash after you've done the painting, because I find that it will correct and makes your painting process a bit more forgivable. So definitely something I'll note later on. But overall, when you're talking about correcting your mistakes and color mistakes, that's not an issue. One of the things I have here's the other one I did. I didn't think I posted on my community post on this one, but here's another Warhammer from that game. And I mixed him up too. He was all gray and yellow, but I decided to reverse it a little bit, have a little bit of the silver and white and off-white. And you'll see that right along his. Do I have a? I'm going to use this. I don't really have a pointer, but right along here, right there, along his the detailing here. The only reason you can see these grooves, these lines, is because of the wash. You wouldn't be able. I don't think you would. I didn't paint those. I didn't paint those crevices. It was the wash to actually highlight and bring out those details. And when I did that, I thought that's amazing. It totally. And if you look at this photo, the left side not washed, the right side washed, and it just brings it out more. One of the issues that I have with washing, and I don't know if it's me, it could be me. I find that, say for example, you'll see that he looks dirty, right, along his legs, his upper thigh. It was originally all white, but now it has this dirtiness to it, and I kind of accepted it. I didn't want to paint over it with white because I feel like when you wash the miniature, this is a soldier. He's from Warhammer. He's not coming out as if he just did his laundry. He's coming out from a war zone, so it's okay that he's got a little bit of dirt and scuffiness. So in the mistakes that I feel that I've made here, the wash has kind of covered it up. The wash kind of brings a bit of depth to it, which I think is really fantastic. I think that when it comes to the terrain, so I'm going to show one from here. Actually, you know what? Let's talk a bit more about color mixing first. So here's Black Widow from my Marvel United, and she was the first one that I painted that had skin tone because I started with Warhammer, no skin tone. Then out of my Marvel United set, I did all the guys that didn't have any skin tone. So Iron Man, Ultron, Red Skull, Hulk. They didn't have that flesh tone that they had. So she was the first one I had, and it's tough. I found it really difficult. I had to give several layers. Now, obviously, the closer you look at it, the worse she looks. And that's another thing about this whole process is when you're wearing this, you're going to see every single mistake that you made, every single one. There'll be parts of the miniature that looks, oh, I have to do a second coat. No, that needs a third coat. Wait, no, I need a 10th coat on that one just to make it. No, you don't. At most, 3 coats, at most, with flesh tone or a light color on your miniature, especially if you're painting over the darker primer. But when you look at it the way it's supposed to be on the table, she looks fine. She looks perfectly fine. So there's a bit of forgiveness there. What you see through this, it's fine. Live with, if you see a little bit of the primer coming through, it's okay. I learned to live with it. And because from a distance, you're not going to see it. So I wouldn't break your back over trying to do coat after coat after coat. Because what I found is when I tried to put coat after coat to try to, I guess, fix it, I ended up making it worse because then it ended up being a little blotchy. It ended up being thick in some areas and then not consistent. And that's partly my fault too. I'm not the greatest painter. And there were parts where I was trying to imagine it, but it didn't come through. So her, I don't know what you call her six sticks. I don't know what they're called. Her sticks that she carries. I wanted them to be a bit more vibrant. So I chose a lighter blue. It was a sapphire blue that I have in my set. I tried to lighten it a little bit. I'm not happy with her what do you call it? Her cuffs. So right here, her cuffs. I don't know. It just didn't work out the way I wanted to. So I'm okay with it though. Again, from a distance, it's fine. When you look at it really up close, yeah, I'm not too happy. It looks a little dirty, not that great, but from a distance, it's perfectly fine. And also, you'll see that for her suit highlights on Marvel United, it's blue, but I want a little bit of color. And first of all, for my daughter, she likes sort of that hot pink, and I thought when we play this, it would be a bit more personable for her. So I gave it the hot pink highlight, and you'll see that my hot pink highlight is not great. See, it's not. I don't know if you can see it there. It's hard to get. Yeah, right there. It's not great. You know, it's hard. These fine, even with a if I had a steady hand, it's hard to get in those grooves. And when you do it once, I'm afraid of doing it again because I'm afraid of painting over it and making it worse, and then having to correct it a bit. So see there, it's sort of leaking out. But again, from a distance, she looks great. And that's where you're playing from. You're not playing with these miniatures right up to your face, 3 inches from your eye. You're playing them on the table, and it's at least maybe 2 feet. For her hair was challenging. I wanted a fiery orangey red, I guess. So I did mix it, and I am actually quite happy with this result. Um, I tried to get into areas as best as I could, but again, it's not perfect. You'll see spots underneath her hair that I actually missed and I didn't paint it. But again, you're not looking at it like that. You're looking at it like this. She's on the table like this. You're not playing with her upside down. So again, there's a lot of forgiveness that I have that it's good enough. And then you'll see that I did a dark wash on her hair, and it's a little dirty. I'm not happy with it. But when it comes to highlighting, there are people that would highlight the top edge of her hair with a slightly lighter orange or something like that, and it can really make it pop. I just didn't want to. I was just afraid that it would just look. I need to practice if I want to, but she was not the miniature that I would practice on. So I'm very happy with this result. You'll see that for the base, doing the wash makes a difference. It highlights all these crevice areas between the rocks, and it's nice because all these like little areas here, they really pick up the wash really well. Sorry, it's not focusing. There we go. And I really like that. So you can see sort of a before and after, before wash, after wash, and it does make a difference. It brings depth, and certain areas of her body, because she's wearing a dark suit, um, I didn't have to wash it because you wouldn't see it anyways. And her face, I wanted to wash her face because of the depth in the eyes and I guess in her mouth, but when I washed it, her face ended up being really dirty, and I really screwed up on that. That's why her face looks a little off. And another thing I'll say is really difficult: eyes. I hate them. I've come to the conclusion that I prefer painting people like Iron Man or like Warhammer or things that don't have eyes or pupils, because making these pupils, oh, it's hard not to make them cross-eyed. And I don't even I see some of the people who do they do the iris, no, the pupil, no, not the pupil, the eyeball, the pupil, and then the iris, or the iris and the pupil in different colors. That's crazy. That's just crazy. They must have like ultra fine paintbrushes to do that. Not me. Definitely not me. So I have a little bit of variety. I don't have to follow the exact footprint or blueprint of the Marvel character. Here, let me show you another one. When I started the Marvel characters, Hulk I thought was really easy, mostly green. So you'll see he is a little dirty. I'm not happy with this wash. I'm really not. And maybe someone can comment below is, once you do a wash, are you screwed? Like if it dries. I can't correct it unless I paint them all over again, right? So I thought, okay, you know what? If I recall correctly, Age of Ultron, he looked pretty dirty coming out of the dirt, fighting the Hulkbuster. He looked so, like he had been in battle. So when I look at this, I think, yeah, Hulk's in battle. He's not coming out of a shower spring clean. He's coming out and he's doing some damage. So I've accepted it. And again, the wash where it counts, if you look really closely on his fist, not the greatest. I'm not too happy. I tried to, I don't know why, but his fingernails, I painted a little darker, but I didn't do his toenails. So again, not consistent, but from here, he looks great. He looks like a menacing Hulk that you don't want to, that he's ready to pound and jump and distribute all his hits. Another area, again, here, his eyes, it was very challenging. You'll see again from here, not that great. Not that great at all. Actually, it's really terrible. But from here, he is staring at you. Slightly cross-eyed, but it's okay. And then inside his mouth and teeth, that was quite challenging. And if you look really closely, you'll see that it's okay. I tried to get some of the wash in there to highlight the grooves in his teeth. But from here, oh yeah, no, he looks good. You can tell he's ready to get into battle. So perspective makes a difference when you're looking it through either this thing or even right up close, 5 inches away from your eyes. Yeah, of course you're going to be picky about it, but no, it's okay. It's forgivable. I think that, let me see, I'm going to show a few more before I move on. But I just want to sort of highlight the importance of, first of all, the importance of a wash. First of all, a wash can fix things, small mistakes or small areas, because it fills in those areas where you may have missed or made a mistake, and then it brings depth. Here's Ultron, and again, hold on, let me hold him from here. Is this, I'm going to move this out of the way. Okay, right about here. Okay, so here, yeah, I'm very happy with him, and he's full on metallic shine. So I had a lot of fun, and that's why I feel it's important to have at least, again, depending on what miniatures you have or what board games you have, in your paint set, have some metal, have something metallic. If you're getting a paint set that doesn't include any metallic, I would opt and get the Army Painter full metallic set, because I feel like metallic for almost every character I have, I use metallic at some point, either silver metallic or gold metallic. So, but up close, it's okay. I mean, he's mostly silver, right? And it was the highlighting of the red, especially on his head, which I found the most difficult. And you'll see, not perfect, not great. His eyes, I don't think I included pupils in his eyes. I think it's black in the actual in his cards. And these red inside the grooves there, very challenging, very, very challenging. So it wasn't perfect, but I corrected some of the red that leaked onto the surface of his skin, and then applied the wash, and it was fine. And the wash down here on the base turned out well. I don't really care about detailing the bases too much, and you'll see that there's still some of the red coming through. But again, from here, when you're playing, yeah, Ultron, okay? So, and I'll do one more. Actually, no, I'll talk about the one that I did that was black, a black prime. So I did Wasp as a black prime, and this was a test. I bought the black prime. All the other ones that you've seen so far was the gray prime, the gray primer. And then I bought the black primer as, I guess, to test. And so I had Wasp and Ant-Man, who I felt like, okay, they're not primarily black, but they're dark colors and mostly black. So here Wasp is mostly black. Okay, let's do it from a distance first. So from a distance, not bad. I kind of feel like I could do better on the dice face, but I opted for a different color. And then up close, you can see a bit more of the detail. Not that great. It's okay. It's hard highlighting those lines on her legs. Even the chest piece, the detailing, it was pretty hard. The arms, and then I think for the eyes, or for her face shield, I don't know what it's called, the visor. So for the visor, I think I saw online people it's supposed to be translucent. You're supposed to see her eyes behind the visor. So people would paint the eyes on. I did not like that look. I thought that was I didn't like it. So I decided, you know what? Let's make her look like Booster Gold. So I used some of the gold metallic, and I just painted it on just to give it that shine, because if it's a visor, maybe you don't really see her eyes. Maybe it's kind of, sort of shiny and it reflects, right? So that's one of the reasons why I did that. And then again, for her highlights, I think it's not hot pink. Hot pink was done because my daughter likes this color, so I decided to give it a highlight there for her the highlights on her suit. Doing the face here, not too bad. You'll see, if you can kind of see it, I used a different shade of flesh tone for her lips to give it sort of a, not a pink hue, but sort of a more peachy hue. And obviously I changed the color of the dice compared to what's on the photos or on the Marvel United box. But this is a situation where when I had her in all or mostly black primer, it was tough. It was tough to see the details along here, along her body, along the side, even the side of her legs here. It was really tough to sort of find these details because black doesn't offer you depth, so you can't see when you're painting, whereas with the gray, it's a lot easier. So I also did Ant-Man in black primer, and he turned out better, and mostly because his features are a bit more pronounced. You can really see his belt, I guess the conduit straps or whatever around his body. His mask for sure is really straightforward. So he actually turned out well, and the color of his suit I custom mixed a little bit of red and a little bit of black to the point where it's sort of like a dark maroon. I didn't have that in my paint set. If you look at my paint set here, the closest one might have been this, the Silic red. Where is it? The Silic red. This one. But this has a more of a grape-like look to it. And what's my other one? This one definitely Wild Fury red was a little too light, and this, the regular red, the pure red, too bright. And I didn't want Ant-Man. I wanted him to have more of a maroon, and I didn't have that color. So I sort of experimented, and then I mixed the color, and I'm very happy with this color. And for him, black, silver, red, not a lot of colors, and it's just finding those details and painting it. The coin was, I used, again, metallic to sort of make it pop and shine a bit. And then I gave it a wash. So the wash, you'll see, allows you to see the details, the United States of America, a quarter, the eagle, or whatever it is, and underneath. And then sort of the wash for the ground to highlight some of those rock details. So I'm really happy with him. I feel like each one that I've done, I've actually been quite happy with. And again, up close, I think he's the best one I've done, up close, because he doesn't have a lot of these features that would create a problem. And the difference between him and, say, for example, Black Widow. Where's Black Widow? Again, Black Widow. So Black Widow, for her detailing, where the pink highlights are, those are grooves. And I found painting in the grooves very challenging. Whereas for Ant-Man, he's not grooves. They are, they protrude out, right? So they're a lot easier to get to and paint. And obviously, if I made a mistake, it's easier to correct. So he was a joy to paint, actually, and I really like him, and I really liked how he turned out. He really looks like Ant-Man to me. So, and let's see. I showed you the one I'm currently working on. I haven't finished yet. Is Captain America. I just started him. Well, not just started him. I just finished the paint job. And you'll see I'm not happy with his eyes. He has this, I'm kind of spaced out look, but it's tolerable. Again, from here, it's good. It's okay. But up close, he was very challenging. His face was challenging, his ears, his shield. Definitely his shield was challenging. I cannot paint circles for the life of me. So I don't know if I'll have a chance to do this, but maybe I'll post a community picture because I haven't done it yet. When I do the wash on this shield, I'm expecting the inside grooves between each ring to be filled with the wash, and that will cover up the mistakes that you're seeing, or sort of the color bleed that you're seeing in between each ring. I'm hoping. I don't know if it'll work, but so far that's what a wash has been able to accomplish for me, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's important. So typically for darker colors, I will use a dark tone. Definitely for terrain, I use dark tone to really pop that those grooves and the rocks and the sewer grates or whatever, and then I'll use a strong tone for areas that are a bit lighter because I don't want him to look dirty or not too dirty. So in this situation, I might use the strong tone sort of on his abdomen area, but I'll definitely use dark tone, dark wash on the base here to highlight the grooves and even that sewer grate. But yeah, for sure, I'll probably use strong tone for his shield, and I'm hoping that it will really fill in those grooves and make it pop a bit. So here's something that's sort of in progress, and the wash will help highlight those areas. Um, for the most part, I'm happy with the color coordination. I've seen people color his gauntlets red and his boots red, but I want sort of the more, I guess, Marvel United accurate look. But you're free to pick and choose, and that's what makes it. What makes this process really great. Even the A here is not that great, so it's a little blotchy. It's tough. And oh yeah, for sure, the Avengers symbol on his shoulder, that's tough, and this looks terrible. But from here, it looks great. So forgiveness is important. Self-forgiveness is important. Uh, don't aim for perfection, because when you play it, you won't see it, and you'll just be happy that you have them in color. So here's Captain Marvel, who I've just painted. I haven't done a wash yet, but I've also been very happy with her. She was also very challenging, mainly because of the number of detail lines that I had to do. Everything in yellow was really challenging. I decided to use a bit of the gold, a metallic gold, on her belt, her crest, or her chest symbol, and her gauntlets here, so that she has it sort of pops. And I feel like I also did a custom mix of paint. I didn't want her super red. I wanted her, again, sort of a maroonish red, but this is not as dark as Ant-Man. If I compare, not as dark, but not as bright as Iron Man. So I wanted her somewhere a shade darker. I'm not too happy with the hair. I feel the hair is too bright yellow. But again, once I apply the wash will probably darken it a little bit to the point, and it'll probably fill in those grooves for the hairline. So again, washing makes all the difference. You'll notice I didn't put pupils in her eyes because I feel like, she's powered up, she's charged up, and she's not a regular Captain Marvel. She's cosmic powered Captain Marvel. So I'm also very happy with this. I'm happy with the color. I'm happy with the way it turned out, and I've pretty much, as best as I could, followed what the Marvel United picture looked like. And once I do the wash, you'll see the terrain that she's on will fill in a bit more, and it'll pop out a bit more. So, and the last one I'll show you here is Red Skull. I think with Red Skull, my challenge was, how did I want to color him? Because I don't think I wanted him with a green trench. I wanted him with a darker trench. If anything, he's the one that has the most monochromatic color set of them all. So silvers, browns, different shades of gray. The shade of gray for his pant is different from his trench. I don't know, it's hard to tell here, but the shade of his gloves, which is quite black, but it's a lighter black, is not the same as his boots. It's hard to tell via camera. But painting his head was easy, but his eyes, very challenging. And up close, you'll see that, nope, doesn't look that great. But from a distance, he's not bad. And for him, you can see that he does have sort of a satin finish. He's got a shine, and I'm okay with that. And like I said, when you're handling your miniatures, if you don't apply the finish or the seal, you could potentially rub off the paint. You might chip them off, but with the finish on it or the varnish, it adds a sort of a protective layer. I can feel it. It's smooth, and it does add a bit of this shine to it. But for me, most importantly, was it maintained the color. Now, I've never tried matte, so I have no idea if matte will actually affect the overall color. I've read that it sort of dulls it a little bit. Gloss definitely makes it more vibrant, but then you've got that really glossy finish. So that's one of the reasons why I chose satin. Was I'm hoping that it's the best of both worlds. And I wasn't about to invest in a satin, a matte, uh, uh, a gloss. Like I want something that is the best of both worlds that I would be happy with. So, and I am happy. I'm very happy with the results here. So with my I'm just one away from finishing my Marvel United set, which is just Taskmaster, as I showed in my last video. But you can see here in terms of the priming, I'm not concerned that it's not 100% primed. And as I mentioned in my previous video, but I'll talk about it here, initially I thought I had to prime it till it's all gray. So I don't see any trace of the original red resin or plastic or whatever. But that's not true. Even the fact that, say, those areas that you can see a little bit of red showing through, the prime is there. It's a very light coat, but the prime is there, and the paint will adhere to it. So at least that's my experience so far. Comment below. This is a new venture for me, and I'm open to knowing more about the pros and cons, and if maybe I should be priming it to the point where it's all gray and I don't see any of the previous resin plastic. But right now, I do it to a point to manage time, because from priming I can move on to my next miniature to prime and then let them all dry and then start painting them. So once he's done, I will have completed at least the core box of Marvel United. I do have X-Men United that I want to paint as well, and I think once I get those done, it'll be quite enjoyable to bring it to the table. And as for all my other games, something like Project Elite, I might do the hero characters. I am not going to paint all the aliens. That's just, to me, I just can't see it. So I have sort of a threshold. This is sort of the hobby where I want to bring color to my miniatures. I want to do it as a therapeutic activity or hobby to get away from life stress or work stress or take my mind off things. And that's really where it comes from. Perfection is not something I'm looking for here. Adding color to the table and just trying to better my limited skills. That's what it's really been all about. So I hope this was helpful to some degree to someone who out there who's like me. And hopefully this provides a little bit of inspiration to say that it's doable. It's totally doable. Having these characters painted, providing a little bit of color, doesn't have to be perfect. Certainly, try not to make them cross-eyed. All these things contribute to sort of bringing your game to life, and absolutely within your grasp to be able to do it. Definitely takes a lot of patience. Definitely takes a lot of, I wouldn't say planning, but for me, I made the initial mistake of, well, not mistake. What I do is I try to now line up common characters. So, for example, if it was Black Widow, and I think I did Captain Marvel and Captain America at the same time because they had some similar common paint colors between them. So what I would do is I would start, for example, Captain America and Captain Marvel. You can see there's blue common. She obviously has more red, but he has red too, and it's the red that I would use for both of them. So here I would start off with Captain America, paint the blue, and then I would let him dry a little bit because I wanted to touch up certain areas. And while he's drying, I start to work on the blue parts of Captain Marvel. And then when I started to work on the red, when she's drying, because I wanted to give her an extra coat, I would work on the detailing of the red for Captain America. And I would say for at most part in any particular area, including the highlighting of her armor or her suit, 2 coats. At most 3 in terms of the layers or thin layers of paint, just to have consistency and a little bit of that vibrancy that you want. Because remember, once you wash it, some of that vibrancy may, or the color may darken a little, so the brighter you make it, the better it would be. So yeah, like I was saying, I hope that whoever is out there watching this that is sort of similar to me, in terms of my setup, found this video helpful, and hopefully you'll take a dive into doing some miniature painting and trying it out and bringing that pop of color and life to your board game. So thanks again for watching and for watching this particular set. I don't know if I'll do any more videos on miniature painting. I think during my board game plays, maybe I'll mention it as a quick sidetrack and to show you how enjoyable that aspect is. But I have to say that this has been very enjoyable, and I hope that you find enjoyment out of it too. So until next time, stay bored.